In this video, let's get some basic understanding about the Pandas library. So what is Pandas? Pandas is a library in Python. So Pandas is a Python library. It has a functions which are helpful for the data cleaning, analyzing, exploring and manipulating data. So Pandas is a library. In that library, some functions are available. That functions are very useful for data cleaning, analyzing, exploring, and manipulating data. In simple, it's a tool in Python. It's a tool. It's used to data analysis. So it's very helpful and very widely used library of Python by data analyst, data scientist, and all everyone who deals with data. So it's a basic library that are pandas which are useful for data related tasks. So let's dive into some basic of the pandas. So, first understood, before using pandas, we have to import that. As we imported NumPy before using that, we have also import the pandas library. So how to import that? Just by using keyword import pandas as pd. So we have import pandas as pd. So I have given the name pd because every time I want to use pandas functions, I can simply define pd dot. So that's why I use it an alias for pandas, that is pd. So by this way, we can import pandas. If you have using Anaconda, it's readily available. You can directly import. Otherwise, you have to use the pip method to install it first. Then you can use it panda to your purpose. So next, we can understand. In NumPy, it offers one data structure that is called as array. It has 0-dimensional array, 1D array, 2D array, and more than that array. And in Pandas, it also offers two main data structures that are, the first one is series and another one is DataFrame. So in Pandas, we have two main data structures that are series and DataFrame. In this video, we are going to see what is series. Okay. So before that, let's see how to create a series. So before that, what is series? Okay, series is a unidimensional structure. It stores homogeneous item like a list. It's simple. It's same like a list. It stores unidimensional structure. It is a unidimensional means it's a one dimensional structure. It stores homogeneous data means same type. It's similar to list or the one-dimensional array. But the what difference in series you will understand by with example. So if I have one list of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, I have this list of 10, 0 to 10. If I want to convert this list into series, I will call pandas pd because I given alias as pd dot, I will use series of a. If I run this, invalid syntax because I have two commas over here. So if I run this, I have get series like this. So what's the difference between this series and what we usually see in the list? So the difference we see over here is it will show the index. In list or the array, it won't show the series. But in series data structure, it will show the series along with the element. So this is one difference between that series and the list or the array. So by default, the Python or the pandas giving a series or index from 0 to a number. So if I want to give a series what I want, I can simply mention it over here like index, and I will give A, comma B, comma C, comma D, sorry, comma D, E, F, G, 36, G, H, I, 3, 6, 9. I want one more, that is J. Okay, now I defined a series. I have defined an index. So let's run this. Let's see what will happen. It's giving me an error because positional argument follows a keyword. So if I use double quote over, okay, I have to use list because I will tell you. Let's run this now. So it got my result. Before it was by default added 0 to series, like by default indexing like 0, 1, 2, 3. Now I have defined the series. Now I have defined the index for the series like A, B, C, D. You can give any name you want. It will assign as an index. So here I used that bracket. Before that it is giving me an error. After I used that bracket. So whenever you have more than one input like A, B, C, D, you have to give it in a list. Then only it will take and it will perform the task. So remember, whenever you have more than one input like more than one argument like this, you have to put it in a list data structure, then you have to assign it. So then it will work. So here you can observe that it's the index given defined by me as ABCD that is assigned to the index of this. So now my list series is created with the index of whatever I given and with the value of whatever I mentioned. So if I want to slice means if I want to get any data of this series, I can simply use the name. First I have to store it in somewhere because by default it won't store in Python. Remember, by default it won't store anything. We have to store. If you want, then I will use D to variable to store that this series. And if now I print D, let's see what will happen. If now I print D, it's giving me this result. If I want to slice it, means I want to access one particular data, I can use D of simply C. Let's see what will happen. It's not working because C is not defined. I have to put it in a quote, then only it understood. If I run this, I have get this the C value because C is in a string data type, means object data type. So you have to give it in a double quote, then only it can understand. So you will get this. What if I give the normal index, like the C position is 0, 1, 2. What if I want to give 2 over here, whether it will give the result or not? Let's check this. Of course it gives the result. So the pandas have both the by default value also, by default index also, and index we have given. We can use anything that will give the result. So this is about slicing of the series. So series is a data structure that store homogeneous data and it will display along with the index. That index may be by default. If you don't mention it, by default it will assign the index. If you defined it, it will show the value along with the index we have defined. So this is about the series. So it's a unidimensional. We can't store it as a multi-dimensional like array with two dimension. Here it only one dimension. It is like a one column of the table. It can show only one series. So by name itself it shows that it's a series, means one dimensional. You can't store it like a table like structure like column and rows and column. So by simple, series is a data structure. It stores homogeneous data. It shows along with the index. So this is about simple basic understanding of the series. Then we are looking forward to, we can also create a series from a dictionary. Here we created a series by using the list. We can directly create a series from a dictionary. For example, I will first one create one dictionary like calories. So I will create one dictionary. So dictionary symbol is flower parenthesis. Then I will use a keyword like day one. In that keyword, I will store the 420 that calories. Then I will mention another day two. It's a keyword. Then I have that value of 340. Then I will mention another keyword that is day 3 with value of 320. So this is my dictionary with the value variable name calories. So if I want to convert this dictionary into series, it is very simple. Very simple. I will use same pd dot, that is pandas dot series. Remember, series the first letter should be in capital. Then I will use that bracket. Then I will just put that calories because calories hold these values. I will use calories. Let's see what will happen. So now my series is created from the dictionary. So it will showing like this. It have day 1, day 2, day 3 and the values. So it's very easy to the pandas to create a series from the dictionary because it have both the key value means indexing and the value. So it will directly assign the index, that is day 1, day 2, day 3 and values. In before case, we have assigned the values, we assigned the index like ABCD because in list we didn't have any indexing, but in dictionary it already have the indexing like day 1, day 2, day 3. So it will directly convert that into series. So these are the example how we create a series from a list and from a dictionary. Then we see some a slicing method that is useful for series. So I will include this. I will call this first. I want to print d that we already created. So d have this value. So if I want to check in this series whether there is any null value is there in this my series, I will just use d, and inside slicer I will use d is equal to 0. Let's see what will happen. It won't give the result. We have one function to check whether there is a null value or not. With simple function, that is, I will use the series name, that is d dot. I will use is null. I will call is null function. If I run this, let's see what will happen. It will give result like this, like false, 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 false. Means none of the values is null. So it will telling like the function is telling like false, means no value is null. So this is giving the result like false, false, false. If I want to count the number of the null value, I will use another function over here. I will append one more function to count the number of zero value. I will use some function. Let's see what will happen. It's giving me the result 0, means in my series I have 0 null value. If I want to use I want to compute not null value, I will use not null. Then see what will happen. It is giving me I have no null value. All the values are have values. So it will counting the number of not null value. So it find by this method it will find the number of false and true. All that is giving true. That means 1. It will sum of that 1 and it will giving me the result 10. So this is how we can use not null or null to count the number of null value. We can also slice the D simply that if I want to, for example, this is my take example, this is the marks column. If I want to get the marks that is more than 20, so if I want to get D is more than D is more than, for example, here in the example for 5, if I run this, it will give like this, that is 6, 7, 8, that is more than 5 value. So by this way we can easily slice the series. Let's know more some important functions in pandas. So for example, I have this dictionary. First I will convert that dictionary into series by using that pd dot series of that marks, pd dot series of marks, sorry, pd dot series of marks, and I want to store it in a variable called mark. Okay, if I run this and I will see whether that is stored or not, marks, will call marks. So now I have the series of marks, that is math, science, computer science and chemistry as an index, and this is a value that is stored in series, that is mark. So if I want to sort this, if I want to sort this series, I have one function in pandas, that is sort. So in sort we have two options like sort by value or sort by index. I will show with an example. So in order to access a sort, we have to first mention that series, that is marks dot sort. Here I have to mention sort by series or index. First I will sort by index. If I mention this sort by index, it will give the sort by index, means by index, as my index is in the string, it will sort by the letter wise. C is come first in alphabet, then M, then S, then like that. So if I sort by index, it will sort by in the value order like the math, science and like that. If I want to sort it by the value, I can just here mention the value. Now it's giving some error. So okay, I have to mention values. Yes, it's very important. So now we can see it is ordered this series based on values in ascending order. By default, it sort ascending order. For example, if I in some case if I want that series in a descending order, what can I do? In that case, I have to mention in the parenthesis that ascending is equal to false. I will tell ascending equal to false. Now let's see what will happen. Now it's sorted my series in a descending order. First large value, then small, small, like that. If you want to, by default, it will do in ascending order. If we want to do the sort in descending order, we have to mention ascending is equal to false. Like that, we can do for both, for index or the value. So in sorting, very simple. There are two ways. We can sort by index or sort by value. If I want to sort by index, I have to mention sort underscore index, then if I want to sort by values, I have to mention sort underscore values. And if I want, by default it will sort in ascending order. If I want to sort in a descending order, I have to mention ascending is equal to false, then it will take in a descending order. So this is about a sort. I can also use that lambda function in pandas series. For example, if I have one series, first I will create one series, pd dot series of range. I want series of 10, so I want to store it in d variable. Run this. Let's check for d now. So it have the series like 1 to 10. So if I want to get a series of this series, I want to get the square of this. So I want to use the lambda function to do this. So how to do that? So in order to use the lambda function in the series, there in lambda function we have used map function to apply the formula for each and every element. As the same way, here we have another function that is called as apply to do the same thing. For example, I will define it first, then you can understand better. For example, if I want to do the square of this each element in the D, I will use D dot, and in the place of map I will use apply here. Apply. Within that I will use lambda function. I will define lambda function with one input, and I want to do the square of that input. So I will use x double asterisk into 2. So, and I will store it in, for example, d2. Let's say d2. So if I run this, if now I check for d2, let's see what will happen. So now I got the square of all the element which is in the d by using this method, that is lambda function. As we used lambda function in that other videos, like we have used map to use this calculation for each the element. Here we used, in the place of map we have used apply, and we called first d, that is the series, then we directly used that, then we got the result in a series form. So this is one simple example of how we can use the lambda function in the series. Next, see how to assign one series to another variable, how to copy it. Let's see the difference between the copy and assigning a variable directly. For example, in this, take d. I have the d variable with the series of 1 to 10. So I will just assign e with d. Okay, I will just assign e with d. If I now check e, it have the same value as that in d. Okay, because I assigned it. So if I made any change in d, whether that affect the e or not. Let's see, if I use d of that third index, for example, if I use the d third index, that is this 4, I will convert that 4 into, I will assign the 5. So I assigned with 5. If now I check the d, it has the value of 5 double time because I have assigned just now. Now, before this, I have assigned the d to e. If now I check the e, let's see what will. So if now I check the e, it has that value also changed with 5 because here I made change in only d, not in e. But also, e also changed. So by assigning, it will hold. Here in this example, I assigned the e with d. What will happen here is, it will store, the e will store all the memory location of that d hole. If I made any change in D, that also reflect in E because that hold memory location. So this is one disadvantage. If I want to make change in only one variable, it not possible by using this method. So how to get out of this? How to overcome this problem? That's when we have the copy option. For example, if I used if I used I will store that in f is equal to d dot copy. There is a function, and if I now check for f, it has all the values that is d hold. If now I made any change in d, for example, d of 3, what we did earlier, d of 3, and I will convert that into 4 again. Then I will run this. If I print d and print f that we just created, let's see what will happen. So I have the d with value 1 2 3 4 5 6 and f with value 1 2 3 4 5 5, because with copy, if you made any change in one variable, it won't made change in the variable that we are assigned, because while we use copy, it will copy the value to the f. In case of the assignment that we used here to assign d to e, here it hold the address of that. But in copy, it will create a separate memory location and it will copy the value to that f. So if you made any change in the d, it won't affect the f because it hold the original value. So this is the difference between the copy and the directly assign the value. So if you want to make change and not affect the change in another variable that you have copied, then you can use that copy method. So this is the benefit of using copy. Then we have that fill any. So all blank cell, for example, in the series you have any blank value. So all the blank value is represented by NaN in pandas. So how to fill that? For example, I will just give the example. If I have that, I will use same d. If my d has some null value, I will use d dot fill null, fill na. I will use fill na with, I can give any number, fill na with 4 or anything. If I run this, I will get the result. If I had any zero value over here, it will fill it with that 4. This is the use of fill any. It will fill blank value with 4. I can give any value over here like 6, 7, anything. Just I have to call that variable, then put a point, then use this function fill any and give the argument as any value you want to fill that with the blank. So this is about the fill any. So the fill na, if I use fill na like this for d, it will show the result like with the value filled with 6 in the place of 0, but it won't actually change the d because we didn't store it. In that situation, if I want to make the change that d value with permanently, I have to use in place is equal to true. If I use in place is equal to true, if I use in place is equal to true, what will this function, this will do is, it will make permanent change in a d. Otherwise, it only show the result as filled with the 6 in the NaN value. If I use in place true, it will permanently do the change. After that, I will print the d, it will show the original filled with 6. So this is the use of in place. It will useful for many places like in filling the NA value or in multiplying or dropping the value like that. So this is about fill any. We can, by using fill any, you can fill the value whatever you give in that series. So this is about. Then we have a function to remove the element from a series. So how to remove some element from a series? For the list or tuples, we have drop, that pop function to remove the elements. In series, we have the drop function to remove the element. So how to use drop? For example, I have the D, the series. I will use D dot to remove drop from the D dot drop. So drop, I will give the index. If I mention the index 2 of D, let's see what will happen. Okay, index n is missing here. Index, let's see what will happen. It will remove the second, that is index number 2 from the series. If now I print D, let's see, if I print D, it's showing the value with 2. What happened here? It just to show the result. It didn't make any changes in D because I didn't store it in D. I just made some function over it. Then it shows the result. In Python, it won't automatically store the result without your order. So how can I permanently make the difference? As I mentioned in the previous function, we can use in place is equal to true. If I use in place is equal to true, if I now run this, if I now check for D, see, it already take off the 2 from the D permanently. So this is the use of in place function. It's very important, in place function, to make the change permanently. So by using this way, we can drop element from the series. So this is about drop. Then we have some of the important mathematical and statistical functions in the pandas. So let's see one by one some of the important ones. So I have describe to describe the dot or the series. For example, if I want to describe the D series, I will use D dot describe, this function D dot describe. If I run this, I got the count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, quartiles like 25%, 50%, 75%, and maximum. So by using just D dot describe, I got this much information of this D series. So it have the it is the most important function, that is describe, that will describe the data. So if I want to add two data, if I want to sum of, not sum, addition of two data, like two series. In our example, we have two series like D and E. If I want to add that, the value wise, then I will use D plus E. If I just run this, I got the addition of these two series. For example, in D I have 1 and E also I have 1. So I got 2 over here. In D second position, the index 1 I had 2 and E also I had 2. Then it got 4. Like that it will add. So this is how we can add two series. Otherwise we can also use like E dot D dot add E. If I use this, also I will get the same result. You can follow any method with the use of arithmetic operator like plus, or with the use of function add. Both the method will give the same result. I can also like do like this. It will give 0 because both the series I have same variable. Then I can use like this. I can do any mathematical operation by just using that operator. So this is how we can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of the series data. So this is about arithmetic operation. Then how to sum of the value. So if I want to sum of the D series, so I will use simply D dot sum. If I use d dot sum, I will get the sum of the d series like this 1 plus 2 plus 3 4 plus 5, like that. I got the sum of this. If I want to get the sum, I can just use d dot sum. Otherwise, you can directly use the sum function like this, sum of d. It also gives the same result. If I want to sum of that, I will use sum function. If I want addition of two series, I will use add or this operator between that series. So this is how we can do sum or the other arithmetic operation. So if I want to get the series mean, I will use d, it's my series, and I will use mean function. Then let's see. Yeah, I got the mean. If I want to minimum, maximum, every function is also applicable in series in Pandas. So this is about some of the important basic understanding of the series. So series is a Python, the Pandas available in Pandas, that is a data structure that store homogeneous data that is show along with the index. By default it give the index like 0 1 2 3. If I want to give index by myself, I can use index is equal to, I will give it in a list. Then I can create a series from the list as well as from the dictionary. Then we saw about the how to check null value, not null value, and how to count that by using sum function. Then we saw about the how to sort it by value wise and index wise, how to do it ascending or descending order. Then we saw about some of the lambda function, how to use lambda function to get the square of this. Then we have see some of the copy, how to use copy or assignment, what's the difference between that, what's the advantages of the copy. Then we saw about fill na value, how to make permanently changes in d by using in place value. Then we saw about the describe function that describe the data. Then we saw about how to do arithmetic operations like multiplication, division and all between two series. Then how to get sum of the series and how to get mean. These are the basic understanding of the Pandas series. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.